your input about. And by the way, YouTube viewers, folks that like to watch the Sackheads Against Tyranny on YouTube, if you go to the SHR Media YouTube channel, I finally started it because the studio here was chaos just for a little bit, and I forgot to start the YouTube feed. My bad. I did start the Facebook feed, but now YouTube is up and running. And, of course, you can always partake of the chat room, or what we call the Shat room, here at shrmedia.com, shrmedia.com. When you go to the face page, you click on Live and Chat Room, and it'll take you right over the chat room. And you can hear the show simultaneously. That means both at once. Just thought I'd tell you that. Okay, a joke for comics. Dave Milner says, a priest, a rabbi, and a polar bear walk into a bar. And the bartender says, get the hell out of here.
I get it. He doesn't want to scare the patrons off.
Oh, boy.
I like it.
Okay. All right.
A lady in the booth puts her head up against the wall and says, Daddy, I've been a bad girl. Priest quietly says, for the last time, it's forgive me, Father, for I have sinned.
Okay, that was funny. That was funny. I like that one. That was a good one. I liked it. I liked it fine. Tell the fruit joke.
The banana joke?
Right, yeah.
Oh, well, the first words a baby banana ever says.
I have no idea.
Yellow.
Okay, the two ants are having a nice leisurely walk across the top of a cereal box in the cabinet. And all of a sudden, the first ant takes off and runs like crazy across the entire top of the cereal box. And the second ant finally catches up to him. He doesn't run after him. And he says, look, we were having a nice leisurely walk across the top of the cereal box, and then you took off. Why'd you do that? And he says, dummy, can't you read? It says tear across dotted line.
Do we have like an applause track, like a laugh track? We need a laugh track.
If I had a producer, what you would have heard is
a laugh,
or you would have heard
a laugh track,
or you would have heard hello.
No, laugh track.
No,
laugh track.
Or
no,
or
no.
Or you could have heard...
You're a loony.
That one? That would have fit.
That's not bad.
That would have been okay.
Or you could have heard...
No. We need a laugh track.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Our live studio audience recognizes the fact that we need a laugh track. Thank you.
It gets better.
Thank you for agreeing with me.
They really get into it.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, they're picking it up, see?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yep. We'll be here all night. I know.
That one wanted me to sign her chest.
I
can't do that.
You've done that before, though.
Freedom Fest.
You were the #1 chest signer at Freedom Fest. People would
Freedom
come
Fest won for us.
It won for us. We were never defeated at Freedom Fest.
See the shirt I'm wearing now?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I'm wearing the Freedom Fest shirt right now.
I don't know if we'll ever be back to Freedom Fest. It would be nice to. But when we were there, well, wait a minute. I was there twice. Mm-hmm. You were there how many times?
3.
3 times? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, because I went to Freedom Fest 2016. We were there 2017, so you went 15.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Oh, that's when you saw... who's...
Tonto.
Yes.
Yeah, Chris Peranto hung out with us and did a book signing with us and drank with us, and yeah.
Do you have video of that? You should have video of that.
I don't think so. No, because we had a great time with him. So it wasn't.
He seems like he'd be just the coolest, down to earth cat you could think of.
He's a great guy, great person. And it wasn't like we weren't hanging out with him like like he was a big star or anything like that. Like he was just a cool dude. Like we, after the show, after he'd hang out with our booth, or he'd come, we'd go drink or we'd go gamble, hang out with. It was just a really good dude. So it wasn't like work, if that makes sense. It wasn't like he was just here with the show or something like that. He legitimately just just hung out with us. It was a great trip. He's just a genuine guy, and he's a really good guy.
So basically, he's exactly what you thought he was going to be.
Yeah,
which is always cool.
Yeah, he was just great American. He's a great hero, but he doesn't walk around like like that. He's just unless you knew who he was, he carries himself confidently, obviously, but he doesn't carry himself like hey, I'm one of the heroes of Benghazi. I mean, he is 100%. He is an absolute hero. The guy is phenomenal. I was honored to spend that time with him. But he doesn't. He doesn't carry himself that way. Does that make sense?
No, it does.
Kind of get what I'm.
It does.
I'm saying?
I had this thriller author on last night, Matthew Betley, and he was talking to me about his fourth book last night, Rules of War. He was on with Dana Perino and Fox News, and she interviewed him about the VA because he's a former. I'm sorry, wrong. He's not a former Marine. There is no such thing.
Former Marine. There's no such thing as there's no such thing as an ex-Marine. Former Marine is acceptable.
Okay. Is former Marine?
Former Marine is acceptable.
Maybe I could say retired Marine. I could put it that way. But he said she interviewed him about his book. She made his book, Rules of War, her July book. And he said, I sat down, talked to her, and Dana Perino is every bit as kind and nice as
sure
she appears
is, yeah.
on TV. And it's nice when you come across people that are, I guess, you could call them famous or celebrities in some fashion, although they might use different words. But it's nice to find out that there are real, actual, honest-to-God, genuine folks that when you meet them, they really are as their persona would indicate.
Yeah.
And that's always a nice thing.
Colonel Alan West is like that.
Would love to meet. Didn't you meet him at the first one?
We did. Yep. He's very much like that. And George Foreman.
Oh, we met George Foreman.
Very, very much like that as well.
Yep.
It's very nice. And Clint Eastwood. I had the opportunity to meet Clint Eastwood. Met him a couple times. Had the opportunity to actually speak with him. And, we share an amazing name.
Right, of course.
In common. And his father's name as well. But he said a good, strong name, Clint, of course. So, yeah, of course. But, and then told him how I was actually named after you, and it's a whole other story. But he was great, and we talked for a good 10,
was
15
that at Freedom
minutes.
Fest?
No, somewhere else.
Someplace else? Okay.
But yeah, we talked. It was very nice man, very down to earth, very cool. It wasn't about, hey, can I get your picture, your autograph? Nothing like that, but just to have a conversation with the man.
And that's probably
awesome.
All that anybody would ever want is just treat him. Okay. Well, of course, there are people who are just,
oh my gosh, yeah,
jerks.
Yeah. But no, it's just I enjoyed having a nice conversation with him, and yeah, I doubt he'll ever remember me. Maybe he will, just because our names, right? Maybe, how many people are named after you or hear that. I'm sure he gets that a fair amount, but he's just nice to have a conversation.
Sean said that he sent you a bouquet to your work last month.
Sackhead Sean sent me a bouquet?
No, Sackhead Sean told me that Clint Eastwood sent you a bouquet of flowers to your work.
That is not
last
true.
month.
That is not true.
So he must have remembered you.
That is not
You
true.
made a positive impression upon him.
That is not true.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, sir, great. Kudos to you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. That's 20 minutes of GURP.
20 minutes of GURP.
Shall
I do have something. Actually, I have two stories that are not political. I mean, I guess one.
I've got a couple up front.
So one I would like to do, and I have to find I have the article, but I'll need to find the text of it. Did you see that a secret Richard Nixon speech was found? And
I heard about that.
It was from the Apollo 11 flight, and it was his speech that he would have delivered had they not survived, or had they not come back, or had they not. How did you read it?
Yes.
It's not that long. I'd like to read it if I have time.
Sure, you bet.
Just because So for me, and those a lot of people I think that listen to our show enjoy history and these sorts of things, and I actually enjoy alternate history. So I enjoy.
Do you read alternate history novels?
Sometimes I do, yeah. Or I'll read novels that have like there are novels based on historical fact, but they're novels. Or I will sometimes read alternate history novels.
Do you watch Man in the High Castle?
I have. I just finished season 1.
You'll enjoy it.
Yeah. So I want to read this, and I think this is interesting. And the speech is dated July 18th, 1969, and it says, in the event of moon disaster, and here's the speech. Fate has ordained that the men who went to the moon to explore in peace will stay on the moon to rest in peace. I wonder if I can do this in a Nixon voice. I don't think I can do a Nixon voice.
Good luck. Good luck.
These brave men, that's more like Abe Lincoln, right? These brave men, Neil Armstrong and Edwin Aldrin, know that there is no hope for their recovery, but they also know that there is hope for mankind in their sacrifice. These 2 men are laying down their lives in mankind's most noble goal, the search for truth and understanding. They will be mourned by their families and friends. They will be mourned by their nation. They will be mourned by the people of the world. They will be mourned by Mother Earth that dared send 2 of her sons into the unknown. In their exploration, they stirred the people of the world to feel as one. In their sacrifice, they bind more tightly the brotherhood of men. In ancient days, men looked at stars and saw their heroes in the constellations. In modern times, we do much the same, but our heroes are epic men of flesh and blood. Others will follow and surely find their way home. Man's search will not be denied, but these men were the first, and they will remain the foremost in our hearts. For every human being who looks up at the moon in the nights to come will know that there is some corner of another world that is forever mankind. And then I want to read these notes. These notes are interesting. It says, prior to the president's statement, the president should telephone each of the widows to be. And here,
widows to be.
Read this, or listen to this. After the president's statement, at the point when NASA ends communication with the men, a clergyman should adopt the same procedure as a burial at sea, commending their souls to, quote, the deepest of the deep, end quote, concluding with the Lord's Prayer. That's a little...
You think about that, and you... on first processing, you think that's very heavy, that's very deep, but...
And it is.
But, yes, but you also hope that in situations like that, you don't want the persons that run the country to be caught
off guard,
flat-footed, etc. You must prepare for all possibilities in that kind of thing, because the computers that ran, and I almost hesitate to call them computers,
but they were
in their own way, were such that there are watches that you wear that have more computing power than all of NASA at that time.
So the part that was interesting...
We still got there.
But the part that's interesting to me is the term where they said, at the point when NASA ends communication with the men. Not when communication is terminated, not when communication is no longer possible, but when NASA ends communication. That's interesting to me. Because
it is, because it begs the question, all right, you've got, well, it's as simple as this. How much air was in the LEM?
Yeah, I don't. Well, that sustained them for how many days on the surface, right? But here's the thing: or would the command module have left orbit, had left lunar orbit to deliver Michael Collins by himself, and then does that act as a repeater? Or
see, now that's
right.
That's the other thing that you would have to consider if you were the administrator of the program is you may have 2 men left on the moon, but you've still got one live human being to bring back in the command module. Michael Collins, you can't sacrifice him. You can't keep him in the lurch. He is eminently retrievable, so he has to stay on the schedule.
Yes.
As if all 3 of them were together.
I don't know.
You cannot kick him to the curb, so you have to treat the rest of it
Or
like it's all working.
Or do you have a contingency to where he stays in orbit and maintains communications until the end, and then he leaves that orbit? Or do you not have him in that psychological state where he listened to their last words? It's interesting. I just thought that was interesting. And I know we have 5 minutes before the next break, so I have one other article I want to touch on. But California has been experiencing some earthquakes.
Yes.
And
there was one in San Francisco.
There was.
Day before yesterday, something like that.
4.1.
4.3.
And then in Southern California, they had a 7.
7.1, 7.2.
Yeah. How big was the San Francisco earthquake of 1909? Was that a 7.8?
Yeah, 7 or 8 itself.
So there were the U.S. Geological Agency is concerned, and the reason they're concerned is because they've run the U.S. Geological Survey. I always want to call it agency or whatever, but they're concerned because they ran a ton of computer simulations simulating how long California can go without without the big one, without a major earthquake. And I think it's less than 1% of the models did California ever go 100 years without a major earthquake. And the last really major earthquake being, I think, the San Francisco earthquake, right?
Right, 1989.
I don't even know if that was considered major.
That was Loma Prieta.
Scale. Yeah. How big was Loma Prieta?
Oh, at least 7.
Was it?
Yeah.
So in all of their models, it's less than 1% of the time California ever really goes.
See, that's the one that brought down the freeways in San Francisco too.
Yep. So in all these times, it's less than 1% of the time California goes 100 years without a big one, without the major earthquake. And we've actually gone so long without an earthquake now, this time around, that there's actually talk that the fault lines may have synchronized, which the 4 major faults, which would be a major crap. The other interesting thing is that because we are actually way overdue for, quote, the big one, and that the past century has really been abnormally quiet in terms of really large ground rupturing earthquakes. So they're not considering a big one as earthquake being Loma Prieta. The last big one, according to the USGS, was in 1906 when a 7.9 hit San Francisco, and over 80% of the city was destroyed. But they're actually worried about
big difference between then and now, though, in terms of, if nothing else, construction.
They are, but they're worried. They're still worried about that big one, and we haven't had it. Even Loma Prieta, they're not considering to be a big one. So what they're worried about is something deeper under California actually appearing to be changing. And what they're talking about here is actually volcanic activity. There are several earthquakes several volcanoes within California that are in danger of imminent eruption.
Shasta,
Lassen. I think the Clear Lake. Clear Lake is a volcanic field, and it is still active. There's
don't know about that, but I would believe that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's 7 of the 8 active volcanoes in California.
Where's Whitney? Washington?
I think so. I don't think that's in California. I could be wrong.
Alaskan in chat said in Alaska they had a 7.4 recently.
So Alaska also has some of the volcanoes along this same arc that is in Hawaii, California, all the way up, right? So one possibility that they're really looking at and that they're concerned about is these fault lines synchronizing, like I talked about, and the potential for the earthquakes, landslides, floods, and so forth is widely recognized in California, but what California really isn't prepared for is volcanic eruptions. That's nothing that we have really experienced in terms of emergency preparedness.
And the worst yet. Let's talk about that. The very worst yet when we come back, because we got to take a break.
What?
I know, it's time.
Man, it is.
It is.
All right, well, more on this.
Yeah. We'll do that when we come back, and I want to tell everybody, what's the worst volcano? Come on, folks, you already know what it is. And
Kilauea.
if that boy,
Mauna Loa.
if that corks off, oh boy.
Which one? Yellowstone?
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics,
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
and all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events? All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic concealed carry and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network, for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Here we are, and we're back. You're listening to the Sackheads Against Tyranny, a real chat show. I am BZ. Across from me is Sackheads Clint. We are the Sackheads Against Tyranny in lieu of the actual Sackheads show, because Sackhead Sean Well, he just can't be around with us for a while. He has to make actual coin.
Yeah.
As would be expected. People have jobs and whatnot. Before we left, we were talking about earthquakes. Then that transitioned over to volcanoes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, well, what's potentially the worst volcano that happens to be sitting essentially in our backyard? Everybody in chat got it. Everybody said Yellowstone.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I both said, that's bordering on a life extinction event.
Ellie. Earth, right? Extinction level event.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Ellie.
Bigley.
Ellie, meet Bigley.
And the geysers in Yellowstone have been acting
we talked about that
weird
during the break.
Lately.
As if something might be percolating underneath. We also talked about Mount St. Helens, the eruption there, which slewed off half of the damn mountain.
Was that 80? Did anybody die from that?
Yeah, a couple of people. One guy that just wouldn't get out. Another guy that they couldn't get to. Maybe 4 or 5, something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it completely
a volcano's erupting. They're like, we need to
changed.
evacuate. No.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Good luck with that.
Everybody thinks that on the left coast, the San Andreas Fault is the biggest fault there is. And that's a fault in thinking. No one mentions the Cascadia subduction zone. And the Cascadia subduction zone in the western portion of the United States, it runs through the entire Pacific Northwest. It threatens 3 major metropolitan areas, Portland, Seattle, Vancouver. I know a lot of people, it wouldn't be sad to see Portland and Seattle, although I would because I like the damper climate and whatnot. It's capable of producing a magnitude 9.0 or 10.0 earthquake. That's basically 16 times more powerful than the San Francisco's 1906 earthquake. That lasted 4 minutes, and that's the kind of stuff that delivers tsunamis all over the place.
So I do want the Mount St. Helens eruption, the state of Washington, occurred in 1980.
Oh, okay, 6 years off.
So do you know what preceded it?
No, I do not.
A series of earthquakes.
Okay, in that region or just in localized fault zones? Did we get anything over here? Or it was all around Mount St. Helens?
I think it was in that region.
Okay.
Which is interesting because maybe that's why now they're talking about, well, we have all of these volcanoes from Southern California. If you pull up the USGS website, you can see how many volcanoes, volcanic fields, both extinct, dormant, and active are still here. There's a lot.
You mentioned, 5 or 6 that are just in California?
I'd have to look them up. There's more than that. You can see the Sutter Buttes from Sacramento,
yes,
where our studios are on a very clear day, and that was formed through volcanic activity.
That's right. The Sutter Buttes, for those of you who don't know, are in the middle of basically the Sacramento Valley, and the valley is a valley because it's very flat. And in the middle of this valley, up north of Sacramento, are these 2 mountains out of damn nowhere.
Yeah.
Well, the reason they got there is because
volcanic activity.
Hello.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Let's see if I can see how many volcanoes California has. Not that anybody in there. I know we have more to talk about, but I think it's interesting.
It is
all of the data going into this, the lack of the big one, the activity that's happening now, the magma flow and what they think that's doing now, the stuff in Yellowstone where the vents are acting kind of quirky. We have some big volcanoes here in California. Lassen blew in 1915, I think, right? Was the last time Lassen went. It wasn't huge, but I think it was the last time it went.
I used to laugh about this back when I was working with another person who had a house in the mountains like I do. I don't live in Sacramento. Well, I do live in Sacramento. My wife has a house down here, and then I've got a house up in the mountains in the Sierra Nevada mountains at about 4,000 feet. So a lot of people, when we talk about earthquakes in California, a lot of people say, "Whoa, how cool would that be if California falls into the sea?" And as a result of that, I used to joke that, hey, well then my property at the 4,000 foot level, I could live in the port of Sierra City with a really long drop to the water. I could have beachfront property all of a sudden.
You could.
My house worth, I don't know, $200,000 or $300,000 right now could be worth a couple of million if I had a beachfront property view. If I could look out across the Pacific Ocean, think how much that house would be worth. Of course, a lot of people would have to die for that to occur. Shall we change to another story which is impending, or do you have something?
Guess how many volcanoes are in California?
Okay, my first thought is not many. My first thought would be 10, but then I'm going to up that, and I can see your eyes. I'm looking at your eyes right now. I'm going to say 20. I'm going to say 20.
There are 20.
Really? Okay.
There are 20 volcanoes.
And I did not look at that. I didn't cheat.
In California. No, you did not. I will. And there are several who are listed as imminent in their threat. So very, very high threat potential or imminent is Lassen.
Okay, I can see that. Lassen's a big one.
Lassen's a big one. Lassen, Long Valley Caldera.
Long Valley, I don't know where that is.
And Mount Shasta.
Shasta, I can see that.
The high threat potentials are Clear Lake.
Get out!
Yep. And this is the USGS. This is USGS saying this. Clear Lake Volcanic Field, Medicine Lake, Mono Inyo craters, and the Salton Buttes.
Okay. Mono Inyo is way, way, way Southern California. Oh, no, it isn't.
No, it's not.
No, it's north.
No, it is not.
It's north.
Moderate threat is Coso Volcanic Field, Mammoth Mountain, Mono Lake, Soda Lakes, which is on the California-Nevada border, and the Ubehebe craters. I don't even know what that is.
No.
And the low to very low potentials, Golden Trout Volcanic Field, and
see, most of those I do not know, have not heard. But again, it's indicative of this stuff is all around you, percolating about, and you don't know it.
Yeah.
Tonight, I learned something amazing. Mount Whitney, Mount Shasta. Yeah, I know about the volcanic activity that occurred there. Clear Lake, well, when I vacation on the coast, I drive right by Clear Lake, Highway 20. It's a big lake, very popular for fishing, maybe 40 miles from the coast, set inland, and kind of warm in the summertime, very popular with the fishing community. I didn't know that was volcanic. I had no idea.
Oh, yeah, big time. And it's very active, or high potential to go, which is interesting.
No damn idea.
Now, when Lassen, when Mount St. Helens blew, that had a volcanic explosivity index. The VEI, it's how they measure the explosivity of a volcanic eruption. It goes 0 to 7.
Okay.
Do you know what Mount St. Helens was?
3.
It's a 5.
5. Mm-hmm. Oh, that was pretty significant.
It's pretty significant, yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. When I think of big stuff like that, I think of also Krakatoa.
Krakatoa, is that the bad batch of crack cocaine?
It is.
That went around like in the mid-'80s.
It was the mid-'80s. Crazy. Oh, yeah.
A comedian set himself on fire.
Yeah. It was exploding. See what I did there?
I see what you did there.
Yeah, okay.
I see what you did there.
Couple of interesting stories.
Mine weren't interesting?
No.
Oh.
Chat room. Chat room. This is chat room.
The chat room.
Tell us if Clint's stories were interesting. And go ahead and weigh in.
Oh yeah, I need an honest feedback.
Yeah,
because I need to know what kind of stuff to not include next time.
Right.
If you guys want to revel in your ignorance and not learn about volcanic activity and what some of these earthquakes could mean, then that's what we need to know. That
sure, exactly.
Right, so we know to play
we don't know a thing.
Like 3-2-1 contact episodes or something like that.
I wanted to mention this because this seems like one of the weirdest stories.
That just pissed off
ever.
about 8 people in the chat room right now.
That's true. They'll weigh in. This is a weird story that got started on Facebook, and the person that started this didn't really mean it at all. It was a joke, and by now it's gotten to close to a 2 million joke, and I'm talking about, this is from ABC News. At first glance, you'd hope that people that saw this on Facebook would go, oh, that's so stupid. No, That's not the case. Air Force warns against storming Area 51 as Facebook events reach 1.5 million attendees registered. Say what? The Air Force is warning people not to go to Area 51 in Nevada. There was a Facebook event page organizing a meetup at the Alien Center tourist attraction. There are tons of people who believe that aliens are still kept in Area 51 and that they need to storm Area 51 to liberate the aliens and discover whatever it is that's being held in Area 51. 1.5 million people. 2 questions.
Yes.
A.
I'll answer them both, and I have the same questions, but I'll answer them both. Go.
Okay. A. Will they do that? Will they gather? First, will they gather?
Yes.
Will there be a bunch of people that gather?
Yes.
2, if they gather, then will they move en masse towards, I don't know, whatever gate there is that's closest to Area 51?
I think there are people stupid enough to try it. I really do. I don't think all of them will. I think that because I think that if they mass, I would be surprised if the members of the military are not there to give warning. If they start to move, I would not be surprised if there is additional warnings, and I think that would be enough to stop some of them. I would like to say, no, I don't think they'll actually storm the place, but I don't have that kind of faith in people. I think people are stupid enough, particularly in group. And I say that because you look at some of the groups that are out there today that are just doing ridiculous stuff. And I think they would try because I think that they believe that, well, the government's not actually going to shoot me.
We know you and I have experienced the power of anonymity in a massive group and how that makes members of that anonymous group feel very empowered to do
stupid shit.
Fill in the blank.
And I think that so here's my thoughts. Yes, I think people will gather. Yes, I think people will start to go down that road. I don't think there's any way in hell the United States military is going to let foot one on that base. There is no freaking way. They can't do it. Do I think that they would use deadly force to stop that? Yeah, I do. I think that if you have a group that is looking to storm a military installation, a known military installation, a known top secret military installation, where it's posted all over the frickin' place that you will be shot, I think that failure to take that very seriously would constitute an insurrection. And if it is in fact an insurrection and that base is under attack, which is exactly what it would be, whether they're armed or not, you can't possibly stop that many people. There's only one way to do that and protect national security. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want anybody hurt. That's not what I'm hoping happens. No. I hope these knuckleheads fizzle out and actually don't go gather, make a statement, gather, protest, whatever it is you want to do. That's great. Please don't actually go storm the frickin' base because I don't want to see anybody get hurt. And I think that if they get close enough, I think that the military will give them a lot of chances. I think that they will posture. I think that they may fire some rounds across the bow, so to speak. I think that they may have some equipment out there. But if these people actually force the hand of the United States government, I believe the government will respond. And I don't want to see anybody get hurt. And honestly, the government should respond.
I would agree.
You have to, because how do you know that within this group aren't some other international bad actors or fill in the name of the group? You can't allow that to happen. And the people are going to say, oh, they were an unarmed group of civilians. Oh, it's a huge base. Like, were they really even near anything? That's not the point. These people know what they're doing, and the military would have to stop them.
Here's what I think the point would be. Must be. I'm with you. I don't think the person who posted this had any kind of a concept as to how many people are interested in this kind of activity.
I think that's stupid. I think that's ignorance, and I think that they could be civilly responsible because
I think that is leading exactly where I'm going.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's okay. Yeah, you did.
No, I really didn't. I'm sorry.
But the military can't take this because this would set a precedent. We can tolerate certain things in a semi-civilized society. We're going another direction, and I've got a couple of stories that are leading to that. Law enforcement is an application of one area. The military is the application of another. If you set the precedent that with numbers you can storm the American military anywhere and get away with it, if you do that in Area 51, then why can't you say that you're going to storm Minot Air Force Base where all the B-1s are?
Yeah.
By the way, where all the nuclear bombs and weapons and missiles are, then why wouldn't you be able to storm, say, I don't know, the White House? Why wouldn't you be able to storm, I don't know, Fort,
extrapolate it out.
You can go ad nauseum with this. So the military cannot afford to have something like this occur.
You can't.
It's a terrible, it's a crappy idea. It's a shitty idea. It's setting a precedent, again, in terms of getting massive groups who feel empowered. And if they, like I said, number one, will they appear? And you think, yeah, they could. They could.
Oh, I think so. I think there will be people that show up.
Oh, yeah.
100%. There's going to be people. There are going to be people that are going to be there.
Will it be the numbers that they were hoping? Who knows?
Let's say 10% show up. Let's say 10%.
And 10% of a million is
100,000.
100,000.
Okay, let's cut it. Let's say 1% shows up. Let's say 1,000 people show up.
That's
1,000 people. So let's say
remarkably.
Let's say 1% shows up. Well, no. 1% is 1,000.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So no, it's not because no 1% is 10,000.
Still big numbers.
1% is 10,000.
Big numbers.
Right? So 10,000 people show up. Sorry, I had to math for a second.
I was never a big guy on math.
If 1% of the people show up, let's say 0.5% show up, 5,000 people, 1/2 of 1% show up, 5,000 people. Now, of that 5,000 people, let's say that 5,000 people, let's say that 10% of that 0.5%, so 500 people storm the base.
Okay.
And the United States military responds.
Well, let's...
Can you imagine... Can you just imagine the public fall? And the military would be 100% in the right. But can you imagine the fallout? And we're talking 10% of 0.5%.
And what would, theoretically, because you kind of have to think this way, of that small percentile of a percentile, how many of those people would potentially be armed?
Let's say none of them. Let's just say you have 500 people that are storming.
You don't have the luxury of making that assumption.
Absolutely not.
If you're the military.
No.
You cannot make that. You cannot just assume that everyone is there and they have fine intentions.
Yeah.
They just want to see, I don't know, fill in the blank. It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't. You are attacking a United States military installation, which has happened before. I don't know about people like this and these numbers of people, but United States military installations have been attacked.
We had an ICE facility attacked the past week by a 69-year-old Antifa member, essentially, who wanted to make a statement, who wanted to shoot propane tanks, and then the leftist world is shocked. Shocked, I tell you, when he's killed...
Yes.
Trying to do that, storming an ICE facility.
Armed with incendiary devices.
Yeah, AYFKM. Are you fucking kidding me? There's video. An individual or a series of individuals asked the Big Four, the squad, of all the little chickadees, are you going to proclaim that was a terrorist act? Are you going to disavow those acts?
Nope.
Not one peep from any of those individuals.
Nope.
Not one.
Not one. Because it's a leftist organization. Had that been a group on the right,
that would be
and
24/7
we would condemn that 100% as well,
and rightly so.
We would absolutely condemn that, and we would call it a terrorist act.
It would be,
but not them. It 100% is. Look, we are coming back around. This is the weather underground, all over again.
You're not this old. I saw all of this stuff in the late 60s and early 70s. I saw the Symbionese Liberation Army, the SLA, the Red Faction, the Red Army,
the Black Panther Party,
the Black Panthers,
and the incident in Los Angeles,
the Weather Underground,
the incident at the state capitol, Black Panther Party.
Hey, listen, that's how we got
171.
That's how we got the laws, because armed leftists appearing at the state capitol put the fear of God into Ronald Reagan when he was governor at the time. That's how we got a number of laws.
And he was a Democrat at the time, right?
No.
Reagan was a Democrat governor of California, I thought, and then he turned Republican.
He was a Republican.
Was he?
Yeah.
He used to be a Democrat.
Yes, he was.
Okay.
Yeah. Back in the 40s, he was a Democrat.
So these are leftist groups.
Seen it before. There's nothing new to me.
Nothing. These violent groups, and a lot of them are on the left, have been here before.
The bulk of them are on the left. You know, I played, when you talk about white supremacists, in terms of the overall numbers and activities, et cetera, of white supremacists, they're almost trivial compared to the amount of people that are on the left that advocate and commit violent acts just here in the United States.
And look, and we're not condemning white supremacy. White supremacists are fucking assholes.
Oh no, we are condemning white supremacy.
No, that's what I mean. We are condemning it.
But sorry. I played. Here's the other thing.
So let me, because I misspoke. Okay. We are 100% condemning white supremacy.
Oh hell yeah!
We do not condone it, is what I meant to say. We do not condone it. Their violence is absolutely horrific. Their point of view is absolutely garbage and wrong 100%. And we will condemn, not condone. I apologize, misspoke. We will condemn their actions and their perspectives outright. That doesn't mean we want to shut down their speech. Just like I don't want to shut down the speech on the left. I want to hear how fucking crazy you are, because I want to know exactly who you are and what we're dealing with.
Plus, I want people on the left to talk.
Yes.
And I want to hear their speech, because I also want others to understand what it is that they are advocating.
Absolutely.
They are the best examples of themselves of what to not do or not be. And that's another reason I want to hear their speech.
And the same is true of the white supremacist groups, the Nazi groups and so forth. I want everybody to hear what an asshole you are.
I played 2 separate cuts last night after Matthew Betley of what it is that Trump actually said with regard to the Charlottesville, the guy that ran down and killed the young lady in Charlottesville, and the clip that you always hear, and what it is that Donald Trump actually said, which is massively different. And it's the same for what he said with regard to the tweets, etc. They only want to pull out the specific pull quotes, etc. Funny thing is, David Duke, and there's an article that I don't have, but David Duke is a supporter of Ilhan Omar. Think about that for a second. He's come out and said, but did you hear anyone say that or talk about that?
Did you hear anybody disavow that? Did she disavow it?
I didn't hear a thing.
Did she disavow it?
I heard crickets.
Has he been forgiven for his past?
I don't know. Maybe he has. Anyway, getting back to Area 51, bad idea.
Bad idea. So what do you think? Does the military attack them if they actually try this garbage? How do they not? How do they not?
They will be backed up, because even, as you mentioned, even if you have 1,000 people, and that's such a minuscule slice of 1.5 million potentially.
Yeah.
But even if you have 1,000 people rallying around a given gate or an entrance to Area 51, do you think otherwise the Air Force and the military have the ability to meet that with 1,000 military members on a given day? That would be difficult to rally that many people. Therefore, if you don't have a sufficient amount of riot gear, equipment, gas, etc., to handle a crowd of that nature, and if they still blast through the perimeter, etc.,
That's the key.
Setting precedent, which you cannot allow that to occur, there'll be warnings, there'll be another warning, and then eventually someone is going to have to say, this cannot stand.
Yeah. And I think they will be getting warnings as they're en route, too.
Oh, yes. Because the Air Force doesn't want this to occur.
Of course
not. The Air Force cannot afford to have this occur.
Of course not. Of course not. But they have to do. But and here's the thing.
That's just
so let's look at the politics for Trump.
Zany.
If let's say 500 people storm the gates, military has to use force. They come through. They break through. They're loose on the gates on the base. They have to use force on, let's say, a couple. Let's say the United States military uses deadly force on 5 American civilians out of this major event.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Before November 2020?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay. That's now you've dragged this thing into a political venue. Let's have a break. Let's come back and talk about the politics of that in just a little bit. And then, oh my God, do we have political stories? Holy crap. Okay, we're going to hit a break and we'll be right back after this.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network, for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic, concealed carry, and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capitol, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And we're back. We're back. It's the second hour already. Where does the time go? We're having so much damn fun. Are you missing something? You look like you're looking for something.
Looking to see if this thing's just weird, this camera angle over my shoulder.
Oh, you mean the guy looming over your shoulder? I can get it. If you want to watch the show, by the way, folks, you can listen and enter the chat room at SHR Chat Room. I'm sorry, Chat Room.
Thank you.
At shrmedia.com. And you can also, if you want to watch the show, you can watch the show on the SHR Media Facebook page, and or go to the SHR Media YouTube channel. We have our very own YouTube channel, and when you're on YouTube, just go in the little search field and put SHR Media, and you'll find us right there. We have an article or so that we want to go into. There is a call I see, and so caller, who be ye? Speak or forever hold thy codpiece.
Oh, nobody can hold my codpiece. This is Dave Milner, the unpleasant blind guy, fellas.
What's happening, Dave?
Yeah, guys. This will be fairly short. Getting back to the start of the show, I just wanted to give you guys the one and only original joke I ever made up.
Okay.
Okay, right? This is a Dave joke.
It's a Dave joke.
Okay. All right.
Right. Okay. You guys, and I was inspired for this by the Twilight movies, by the way.
Okay.
What does a gay vampire turn into? A fruit bat.
Okay.
I get it.
All right, I get it. I actually got that one.
I got that one.
There you go, fellas. God bless.
All right,
Dave. God bless.
Thanks. Okay. I just learned a new joke. You just learned a new joke.
I just learned a new joke.
We're going to do politics, but I came across this article where the Chicago mayor says, and this is
it's no longer Rahm Emanuel, right?
No, it's no longer Rahm Emanuel. It's a lesbian black female. The Chicago mayor is saying, in a major leftist city, she's saying police are losing the streets to major eruptions of violence.
Shocking. Shocking.
But the shocking thing about it is she's actually admitting it. I find that astounding. She says one weekend does not make a trend. And by the way, her name is, the mayor is Lori Lightfoot. But we've now had a couple weekends where it feels like we're losing the streets. Okay, well, that's just under her. She's not even considering the hell that was Rahm Emanuel. I'm just a little bit shocked.
The streets have been lost. Where has she been?
Yes, where have you been? The police chief already knows this. He weighed in on Jussie Smollett, and people didn't really want to listen to him. Right before Independence Day, 50 people were shot. Feature this. In Chicago, an extra 1,200 officers got deployed, and at least 43 people, despite that, got shot on the Memorial Day weekend, 7 of them fatally. And they're just now coming around to the fact that the police may have lost the streets of Chicago.
Are they under? Is Chicago under consent decree?
Yes.
Shocking.
Yes, they are.
Shocking.
Yes, they are.
Leftist policies.
It is a leftist policy. You didn't want to hear this, but I'll make this quick. There's a DA in Texas now who claims she has a conflict of interest in a major case, and so because she's a leftist DA, she's decided to drop all charges. In Houston, Texas, Harris County District Attorney Kim Ogg announced yesterday, that her office had too many conflicts of interest to proceed with prosecuting money laundering cases involving 2 poker parlors in Houston, where she could have recused herself.
Yes.
So that
Yes.
an independent prosecutor or even the state could be appointed. She dropped every felony charge against 9 poker room owners and employees. Oh, wait. There's more. She's also attempting to return $206,000 in seized cash to the defendants. That's the state of our law enforcement. Okay, enough about this. I don't know where you're going to take what you're going to do with this. This is more of a global type article, and I really want to see if you have any input on this or thoughts. And this is not getting much play. But in my opinion, this is extremely serious. This is a potential global situation that we've seen played out on movies and TV screens and whatnot. Ebola emergency in the Congo is declared a global health emergency. Still, the World Health Organization says the risk for worldwide spread is low. Well, wait a minute now. Why would that be? We've conquered Ebola many, many times. There's no real cure for Ebola per se, but we've been pretty damn lucky in making sure that we contain Ebola, with the exception that the virus has recently spread into a town in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Well, it's not, that's right, it's not just a town, it's a city called Goma, where there are 2 million people in Goma. And there's an airport in Goma, an international airport to transport people out of Goma. I don't know if they happen to be not feeling well, perhaps. Any thoughts on this? I had to dig to find that article, but it's happening right now. Oh, by the way, this article came out today.
Yeah. I mean, we can't force other countries to have the same health standards as us, right? But it does go into, this is why we need to tightly control who the hell's coming into our country and where they're coming from, and monitor this.
We've already had one person infected with Ebola enter the southern border. And by the way, they came from
Mexico.
Congo.
Oh, they come from Mexico?
No. Well, they came through Mexico by way of the southern
that's what I meant.
border, but they were originally from Congo. Okay, we got another person on the line. Go ahead. Who are you, mystery caller, and why did you call? You're on.
Hey, brother BZ. This is Chuff. How you doing?
Hey, real good, sir.
What's up?
Outstanding. Just calling in. Styx has been on this for 6X and Hammer has been on the Ebola thing for about 4 months. So this has been percolating for quite a while, and once I started hearing about Africans moving over into South America to come up to our border, I knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm not shocked by this.
No.
And you got to think of everybody else that was on that flight that was exposed to it too.
Yep.
And, that's just a little test tube. I did want to touch on the invasion of the base, but I'd love to hear your guys' comments just first on the Congo thing. I'll mute.
You don't have to mute, because I can mute you, but I'm not going to. You can unmute yourself.
Oh, okay.
And we don't silence anybody on this show.
No. I'm the only reason I'm going to silence you is, I would never do that. Anyway, moving along. Yeah, if we can't solidify our borders, this is just one reason. And as far as I'm concerned, Clint, weigh in, Kaiser, everybody. Leftists are fucking insane now. They're just insane.
Yeah.
They are unhinged. They do not have any semblance of a grasp on reality. And even then, I wish I could tell you that I had every confidence that we will easily win 2020. And despite all that, I do not feel that confidence. Clint.
You know what, BZ? I don't think that they are clueless. I don't think that
they're unhinged.
They're unhinged, but I don't think they're clueless, and I think they understand exactly what it is they're doing.
They're purposeful.
I think that what they're doing is by design, because they want the downfall of the United States of America as we know it. I think they want to do it from within. I think that they are the far left part of that party is communist, 100%. I think that they're no different than other extreme groups in history that have come up and attempted to seize power, some successfully. And I think that if they do seize power, depending how it goes, look, I think that they're prepared to do it by any means necessary. Oh, wait, there is a leftist organization called By Any Means Necessary.
BAMN, and they're aligned to Antifa.
Yes, they are. And
the Berkeley mayor is a member.
Yes, and I believe them. So I don't think that they've lost their mind. I think that they're unhinged to an extent. I think we refer to them as unhinged, but really I think they know exactly what the hell they're doing. Nothing has changed. The communists haven't changed from the 40s or the 60s or to what they're doing today. Go ahead, Kaiser.
I would kind of disagree with that, Clint. They have changed. They were Bolsheviks back then, and now they're Maoists. So they believe the Mao theory: through the barrel of a gun comes ultimate power.
Okay, so
there has been a change.
So let me rephrase. I'm not talking about specifically their communist viewpoints or their sect of communism. I'm talking about their tactics.
Okay, yeah.
So
I get it.
Yeah. So I agree with you, but I was talking more about their tactics and how they go about.
I think they're totalitarianism. And the reason I say that is because I'm not convinced they know what socialism is.
I think they know exactly what it is.
I'm not convinced.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not convinced they really know what communism is.
I think they know 100%.
There was a comment made today by AOC that if anyone mentions that any party, any person on the left is a communist, the person that making that statement, she said today, is a racist.
Yeah, because she doesn't.
Kidding me?
Because she doesn't want to be labeled communist because of the negative connotation, and communism has failed. I think she knows exactly what she's doing. I think that they throw out that if you say this, then you are that. To shut down speech.
Yes.
She knows exactly what she is. But she is 100% a communist, but she doesn't want to be called a communist because of the negative implications and backlash, and it makes it harder for them to push their agenda, win support, gain ground, that kind of thing. I think she knows exactly.
I'm sorry, BZ.
No, that was Clint, but go ahead, brother.
Okay, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Here's the one thing that... The one thing that brings to mind, and this is proof positive of it, this happened in your guys' state, unfortunately. Mac Getz, who's a congressman or a senator, I think he's a congressman, had a death threat made against his life. They found out who it was.
Oh, right, Matthew Gates from Florida. The guy lives in California, yes.
And the assistant prosecutor for DOJ said they weren't going to bring charges on this guy. So the Berkeleyites, look, even Seville, Mike Steiner, I bodyguarded him in Afghanistan for Democracy International in 2010, him and Trish DeGennaro, who's a reporter for the HuffPo. He's a Berkeleyite. The entire Seville thing was a setup. Anyways, I don't want to get into all that, but what I do want to do is when you guys are ready to talk about, I'll just get off this subject for the moment, but I do want to talk about the Area 51 thing. Really.
Yeah, please. I'd like to hear your
It'd be
perspective
interesting
on it.
to hear that from a military standpoint, Kaiser.
Okay, this is where Title 10, which is military police, that kind of thing, the laws for the military, and Title 6 is 6C in particular, federal law enforcement. This is where they converge. And you will have Title 6C agents there if they do math on the thing. You got to remember there's a depth of defense, okay? It is an Air Force base. They go by an adage called ABGD, Air Base Ground Defense. So you have 20 miles from what you think is the gates till you hit another gate, all right? So within that 20 miles, you're not seeing anything. I don't care where you go. And they've even spread it out further. I think they even took somebody's home to do it once. So there's a large.
They took a mountain range. They took a mountain range. You used to be able to sit on top of this mountain range. Now that's under Area 51 control.
Right, and that was down by S4. Yeah, S4. Anyways, yeah. But the point is, there's two guys who are on YouTube, and they just filmed themselves stepping across the line, and then they disappeared. Everybody wondered what happened. These other YouTubers were concerned, tried to make contact with the guy. Guy became like an asshole, whatever, to him. But what ended up happening is he said he got maxed. That's 6 months confinement, 1,000, and you're going to an FDC, a federal detention center, and you're going to be kept there for 6 months. There is, for something like that, you're not getting good conduct parole out. You're not getting provied out. You're getting maxed, and you'll pay the $1,000 fine. Even taking photography at that gate, this is something these morons don't get. Everybody who does it, but the media's been allowed to do it and everybody's been allowed to do it, is punishable by the same Title 10 thing. That commander of that base has ultimate authority in the end.
Yes.
And if he decides he wants all of these protesters to learn what a GAU is from above or from below, they will find out very quickly what it feels like to have the different calibers ventilate their craniums and their other parts of their bodies. And there's nothing that, they can go after the president, but ultimately it's the commander's responsibility. I worked on a nuke base. In Germany, we had protesters all the time trying to jump the gate and the fence. If you could jump that gate and you got over it and the police didn't get you, they were ours. And we would turn them over to the German police. So, anyways, that's what I'm trying to say. I think you're going to have idiots like you and Clint were saying. I think you're going to have idiots try this.
I think you're right. I think that's correct. It's a matter of numbers. How many people are going to try to do that? And they'll rally. I believe they will rally. There will be a certain number of people that will meet at whatever spot they designate. The bigger question is, and of course, when they rally at that spot, you have to remember, and I'm sure you can correct me on this, there will already be a military presence wherever it is that they rally, because it's been made public. So whether they're in uniform or whether they're in plain clothes or shorts or a 1963 Ford Fairlane, they will be there. There will be a presence, and they will be monitoring the situation. But you cannot. Well, here's another thing that I know for a fact, and that's and again, thank you for coming on to explain the military aspect of it. I trained at EVOC, and at EVOC, we trained at the former SAC, Strategic Air Command, alert pad at Mather Air Force Base. And what that means is that was the alert pad where a number of B-52s who were tasked with carrying nuclear weapons were stationed at Mather Air Force Base. Each one of these B-52s was in an alert area, asphalt area, and there were, I think, 11 or 12 B-52s, and one crew was in that B-52, a B-52, 24/7, ready to make the first run down the Zulu ramp to respond. There was a crew, live people, in a cockpit of a B-52, 24/7, ready to roll. There was a red line around the B-52. AP's air police who were there made it known very clearly. Anyone that wasn't authorized, if you stuck a pinky or a toe across the red line, the authorization already existed to shoot to kill.
Yes.
So the military cannot in any way, shape, or form countenance the ability of anyone, civilian or law enforcement or military themselves, to breach Area 51. It's a military reserve bombing range, proving range, and who knows what they have out there, and it's not my job to know or find out.
there's two separate kinds of jurisdictions, and this is what people fail to realize. You have concurrent jurisdiction, and you have exclusive jurisdiction. In Ohio, there's one base that has exclusive jurisdiction on the entire base. It's a small base. It's old DSCC in Columbus. That's the only one. Now, there's spots on Wright Pat, certain spots, where they have exclusive jurisdiction. That means no civil law enforcement has any right to come on there. No civilians have. You come on there by permission only.
Well, when I was living on Wright-Patterson Air Force Base for a year and a half, almost 2 years, and there was, of course, a SAC alert pad on Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and the SAC alert area was itself ringed by various levels of security, the tightest, the closest you got to it. But just to get close to that alert pad, you had to pass an exterior gate, an interior gate, a further interior gate.
Yep.
It's just the military cannot afford to have this happen. This was a stupid idea.
And they're not going to have amateurs in intelligence out there taking video. It's not going to be like the ATF going to a gun show or something, right? Where you have civilian law enforcement taking the video. You're going to actually have DOD, either contractors who have been military and know how to blend, or you're going to have physical DIA or CIA spooks. They're going to be running under Title 6C. They're going to have a federal cop there to legitimize it, but they're going to take the video professionally, and they're going to be blending in with the crowd. So this is nothing more than it's. I think it could get ugly, but I do believe it's going to be I think it'll be a good intelligence gathering thing too. That's just my two thoughts on it.
It could potentially, and I make no bones about it that I am a paranormal UFO enthusiast. I'm a member of MUFON, which is the Mutual UFO Network. UFOs intrigue me. I've seen one. I've had a strange experience or a couple myself. So I'm curious, but I'm not sufficiently stupid that I would actively go to Area 51 with a group of other people and attempt to storm an American military organization or base. You have to be stupid. Now, that's why I hope, as we said before, and I'm sure you're saying the same thing, Kaiser. Okay, if you want to have 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000, 4,000 people gather someplace to chat and whatnot, number one, logistically, that's going to be hard as hell because 4,000 to 5,000 people got to eat somewhere and they got to poop somewhere. So logistically, that's going to be extremely difficult. And then it becomes exponential the more people you have.
Well, especially in a desert area, they're going to need water.
Yeah, they can gather food, water, just the basics. Fuel.
Right.
You're going to have a sufficient amount of fuel for the people that come in, for the people who want to go out, or you're going to have a dead car, or you're going to have a dead electrical car.
Dead people.
Yes. So they can gather all they want. That's fine. But if you take it to the next level, I believe you have to expect that so will the military in kind. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong at all, brother. And that's why I know they'll have Title 6C people there. Like I said, with those two guys, they were arrested later. They didn't get them while they were there. It's a real bizarre video. I don't really want to get into it. I'll talk about it tonight on my show.
Okay.
But, the guy was cryptic, but he said, he got, after spending 6 months in FDC, well, that means him and his daddy went to FDC, and they both jumped over the line, two separate entry points, and, they got their license plates. They identified them. You can always arrest somebody later. You don't have to do it on the site. You know this, BZ.
It's 9:30 on the left coast. It's 12:30 on the east coast. We're going to have to take a break. Before you go, hey, don't go just yet. Kaiser, if you're going to have a show tonight, tell people where you can be found if folks want to see your show. Where do they go?
Oh, it'll be on my common YouTube channel. All lowercase, Sword Point 9, SWORD POINT, the numeral 9. at youtube.com.
Okay.
And that's where you'll see it.
What time?
Well, I've got to do it. I'll do it right after your guys' show because I got to stay in there because I love this show. I try to get here every time to eat my filthy olives and drink my Miller High Life.
Okay.
But after that, I'll record it and then I'll upload it. So it's whenever it uploads. So it may be in the morning, folks.
Oh, okay. All righty. Are you taking calls? Can folks call in?
No, unfortunately, because it's recorded. I don't have the ability to live stream anymore. They took that away from me with no strikes. I got nothing on me, and yet they took my live stream away. Figure that one out.
You cannot record live on your YouTube channel.
No, I can't record live on my YouTube channel. But I post to both BitChute and YouTube. So I got two different things because they'll probably pull me off YouTube.
Great. Okay. Hey, in chat, I don't know if you see John, but he's asking you for the URL. So we're going to go to a break. Kaiser, can you put the URL in chat so maybe John can go listen?
Yeah, I will, brother. I'll put the URL to my main channel, and that'll be it. But honestly, Clint, sorry to hog your time, brother. I just wanted to call in and talk about.
Hey, all good, brother. Always a pleasure.
Issues.
Always a pleasure to have you.
Okay.
All right. God bless, gentlemen. Have a great night.
Bless.
Thank you. Take care.
Shuff out.
We're going to go to a break. We're going to be right back, and we still have a metric ton of stuff to talk about.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics,
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
and all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events? All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic concealed carry and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network, for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capitol, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Wow, it's the final 25 minutes of the show. The Shat Show, the Sackheads Against Tyranny. I am BZ. Across from me is Sackheads Clint. Thanks to Dave for calling in. Thanks to Kaiser for calling in. Folks, if you didn't hear, go listen to Kaiser. He's going to post his show a little bit later on, either later on tonight or earlier tomorrow morning, one of the two. Sackheads Clint, you had a story you wanted to talk about.
I do have a story. So a couple weeks ago, Robert Johnson, if you don't know who Robert Johnson is, Mr. Johnson is the founder of Black Entertainment Television, BET. Forbes had him listed as the first African-American billionaire. Longtime Democrat. Longtime contributor to the party, and a couple weeks ago he was in an interview with CNBC's Hadley Gamble, and he said in the interview, quote, "The party, in my opinion, for me personally, has moved too far to the left." And he then goes on, and I need to find the quote here. He goes on. And he says essentially that they're too far to the left. Anybody who's the nominee, he's not supporting anybody right now, but anybody who's the 2020 nominee really has to move more to the center, and you can't wait too long to do that. He then says, and I'm going to quote him now. He says, quote, and again, this is a longtime leftist, the founder of Black Entertainment Television. He says, quote, "I think the economy is doing great. And it's particularly reaching populations that heretofore had very bad problems in terms of jobs and employments and the opportunities that come with employment." He continues. He says, African American unemployment is at its lowest level. I give the president a lot of credit for moving the economy in a positive direction that's benefiting a large amount of Americans. He also told CNBC that tax cuts were helping and all this other stuff. So here you have a longtime Dem, somebody who has supported Democratic nominees, Democratic Party for a long period of time, who's saying, and an African American who's saying, yeah, I give President Trump credit for this economy, and particularly for the positive way that it's impacting the African American community. That's huge. I haven't seen.
It's massive.
I haven't seen that story getting a lot of play, but this story. The reason it's big is this. Number one, the reason it's big is because there are those in the African American community, particularly people who are influencers in the African American community. This is the owner of Black Entertainment Television. You think this individual does not have influence within the African American community? Absolutely.
Oh, hell yes.
And this individual, this gentleman is recognizing and stating on CNBC that Trump is the reason, that he's giving Trump a lot of credit for this economy, particularly its impact on African Americans, speaking positively. Now, I commend him because I'm sure he has critical things to say about the president also, but I credit him for being willing to be honest, taking an honest...
Acknowledging when things go well.
Absolutely, 100%. And that actually speaks volumes about Mr. Johnson's character, about in terms of, hey, can you call it as you see it? Can you be fair? Can you call it right down the middle, balls and strikes? And in this case, I think he did that. he may have had criticisms of the president. I'm sure he has. But in this case, hey, look, he was being fair, and he may have even been fair in some of his criticisms. I haven't read them. Anyways, I think that's big for that reason. Number one, the ability to reach the minority community, the African American community in particular. And the second reason it's big is because, yeah, if he's saying that about the president, how are you now going to go ahead and are you going to call Mr. Johnson a racist?
Well, the logical extension would be
that he's a racist.
That if Trump is it's another if-then equation.
Right.
If Trump is a racist, and ask any leftist, yeah, he's a racist. We have all the audio you would ever need for that. If Trump is a racist, then anyone who says anything positive about him, by extension,
is a racist.
Must also be a racist. So the creator of BET, the BET network, therefore he's a racist too.
And nobody said that. Nobody said that he is a racist, but that does pose an interesting question. He clearly he's not. Right? Clearly he's not. Mr. Johnson's not a racist, and I don't think President Trump is a racist either. As a matter of fact, Ben Carson just came out in support of him on that topic. But he does. Mr. Johnson says he gives President Trump an A+ for the economy, but then he does say that the president has, in his view, divisive politics, which are not helping America. Quote, his divisive politics are, quote, not helping America as a global nation. So he does have his criticisms of the president as well.
His prerogative.
Right. I disagree with that perspective, but I can that's his point of view, and okay.
Good on him.
But he has that point of view because he could point to, look, does the president tweet some things sometimes where we kind of like go, oh, come on. Really? Not very presidential. Right? So I can understand that perspective. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I understand it.
Right.
But so I can see where that perspective is based on some applying a little bit of critical thinking, right? Again, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I can see how one would apply some logic and arrives at that conclusion.
And he gets to do both. That's the
Correct.
thing. He gets to make both observations.
Yes.
In the world of leftists, there is only room for one set of observation. There's only room for one set of binoculars.
Yes.
That has to be looking a different direction. No other viewpoints are even remotely acceptable or should be spoken of.
But this is where we talk about the difference between the uber left or the super progressives or that wing of the party versus a traditional Democrat. And we've talked about these individuals and how Mr. Johnson, I believe, is really becoming a well, I don't want to say a minority in the party because I think that extreme view is still the minority, but they're raising a stink, and they may be able to bully their way into power. Yeah, I mean, look at
squeaky wheel.
Look at the 2020. Look at how the 2020 nomination is shaping up on the Democratic side of the party. But I think people like Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson may go into that voting booth in November of 2020, and he may push the handle for Trump.
He may not he may not hang a Chad for any one of the 19 potentials because Eric Newcomb Swalwell from California dropped out.
He might. I could see him being like, hey, do I vote I'm a businessman.
Yeah.
Do I vote the economy?
Do I vote for the guy that's helping me?
Well, not only that.
Helping Black America.
Yes.
And Hispanic America.
Yeah. Do I vote for the guy who is literally helping minority populations in economically? Or do I vote for the other guy because they're a Democrat and I think that the man in the office is a jerk? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And so that's why I believe, again, that this is very telling because I think individuals like this I'm not saying Mr. Johnson's going to vote for President Trump, but
it's not impossible.
It's not impossible. And if he sees it, other people are seeing it, and how many of those other people are going to pull that big red handle, as BZ likes to say, for Donald Trump?
One immediate word comes to mind: cratering.
Mm-hmm.
And there's take care, Alaskan. Alaskan's jamming.
Thanks, Alaskan.
Here's one thing that I think is the unmentioned factor. It occurred in 2016. I believe it's going to be a huge factor in 2020. Leftists have gotten the bulk of America to the point where they do not feel comfortable expressing their views in any kind of a public forum. Therefore, you have a massive unknown cadre of individuals whose speech has been quashed on purpose, who don't feel that they're part of the conversation, and the only conversation they're going to enter into will be November 8th of 2020.
And that makes accurate polling, impossible.
Just like 2016.
Yep. You cannot have accurate polling. I can't speak tonight. In that environment.
And pollsters, just remember, when you talk to me, BZ, I will lie to you every time. That's my job.
Because it's none of your fucking business.
Because it's none of your damn business.
Who I'm going to vote for.
And I have stopped. I've been stopped by pollsters on a couple of occasions, and I lie my ass off to you. If I can fuck with your statistics or skew your results, that's my job. Just thought I should tell you. Not that you're listening to me right now.
Okay, so a big story. Turkey. Turkey actually entered into contract under the Obama administration for a Russian missile defense system.
This is great. So I have to say I love this.
So Turkey gets the Russian S-400 missile defense system because the Obama administration slow rolled out the Patriot missile defense system, put a lot of stuff attached to the contract and so forth. So Turkey said, screw you, we're just going to get the Russian S-400 system. Now, Turkey was also supposed to get our F-35s. Turkey is a member of NATO.
Right.
They're a great ally of the United States of America.
I use that loosely.
Yeah,
if you're on video, here's the air quotes.
Member of NATO. And they were supposed to get the F-35 stealth fighter. I believe they received 2 of them. I believe. Well, the Trump administration said, and rightfully so,
yes,
hey, you guys have a Russian missile defense system. Fuck you. We are not going to give you our F-35 so that you can fly it with this Russian missile defense system and see what does and does not work and how it tracks, not to mention the concerns with the Russians still having access to be able to tap into that missile defense system and gather data on the F-35s. And so that shit was stopped.
And then essentially hand them over
to Russia.
You know for a fact that they would hand them that.
Absolutely.
They would get handed over to Russia. They would get handed over to China.
Yep.
They would be disassembled.
Reverse engineered.
They would likely be
reverse engineered.
Who knows? Iran may get in there somewhere. North Korea might get in there somewhere. A White House press secretary, Stephanie Grisham, said in a statement, the F-35 cannot coexist with a Russian intelligence collection platform that will be used to learn about its advanced capabilities.
Yeah.
Bingo!
So what does the U.S. do with the 2 that were already received by Turkey? Do we blow them up?
Good question. I was not aware that we had already given 2 to them.
I believe...
quite frankly, who knows where they are right now?
Yeah. I believe they received 2. The Associated Press, according to the Associated Press, said the U.S. initially agreed to sell 100 jets to Turkey, with the first 2 arriving in June. Well, this is now July, and the decision is now called off. So, and I don't see anywhere in the article, did Turkey receive the 2 in June?
And I'm looking at an article from NPR, and I just scanned that article to see if it mentioned that, and that's nowhere in there. So I do not know.
This is in a Fox News article entitled "Trump says U.S. won't sell F-35 jets to Turkey, blames Obama for country's Russian missile system purchase," by Greg Norman, and that's where they mention this that they were supposed to get 200, and that in June 2 were supposed to be delivered, with the first 2 arriving in June. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that'll...
So I don't know if they have them.
I can only hope that they do not. Because if they do, particularly in light of the fact that they are now knowledgeable about they'll be not getting any more, what would you do if your base... let's pull off the gloves and let's call a spade, or let's call a Muslim a Muslim. Turkey is a Muslim nation now.
Yes.
Any pretense of them being moderate, etc., that's out the door. Which is why they should not be a member of NATO, because they are aligned now with terrorist members in the Middle East. Let's be truthful about that.
They're not there to be a partner in the fight against terror. They're there to be a partner against the Soviet Union and Russia. I mean, let's look at why Turkey is in NATO. Turkey's not in NATO to help us fight against Islamic extremist terrorism. Turkey is there from a geopolitical standpoint to help us against the spread of communism throughout Europe,
and they'll buy Russian missile systems.
Right. But they're still a member of NATO, and they still are in that treaty to help defend in case the Ruskies try any shenaniganry.
Well,
you like that?
The only thing that they have is what? Incirlik Air Force Base.
Yeah. But
that's what they have.
But that's a big deal.
So geopolitically, its location is convenient.
Correct.
Important. But
it is important.
Turkey wouldn't let us overfly when we wanted to create missions as well. So they may be a member of NATO, but they also have their own agenda.
They do. Of course they do. Of course they do. But if the big one hit, if Putin put the band back together again, in theory...
Oh, he would love to see the USSR back again. Oh, my God.
Oh, yes, he would. In theory, Turkey would be there to assist in that endeavor. Now you had another story. We have a couple stories. I know we only have 8 minutes left, but major MS-13 gang arrest in California with brutal murders. I think there were 21 or 22 arrested. 19 of them were here illegally. Illegal immigration is not a big deal.
No,
don't worry, you're here in California.
crisis.
Gavin Newsom says, "Come on in.
We'll give you free.
We'll give you health care.
Healthcare. Hey, and the more let's see, you'll get a greater amount of health care. The percentile of tattoos the greater percentile of tattoos that you have on your body, and if you have skull and
horns,
if you have tattoos on your face or your cranial. Those are extra points for extra health care.
Yeah. They were associated with machete murders. They literally cut the heart out of one victim, dismembered them, and threw them. Just brutal medieval style murders.
They did
19 of the 21 or 22. I'd have to look at that. Were here illegally. 19 of them. MS-13. So, folks, you still think Trump is lying to you? They're here, and hey, California. Good go.
That's
way
right.
Way to let him in.
Yeah.
Now, you have some audio.
Yes. Oddly enough, it has to do with immigration. Thomas.
Weird how that segued.
Yeah.
Weird.
You're kind of brilliant that way. Just thought I'd tell you.
I appreciate that.
Just thought I'd tell you.
Totally accidental.
Former ICE director, he was an acting ICE director. Thomas Homan had a little tete-a-tete, a dust-up with a Democrat named Garcia in a hearing, and oddly enough, I happen to have the audio of that.
Do you understand that the consequences of separation of many children will be lifelong trauma and carried across generations? Have we not learned from the internment of Japanese Americans? Mr. Holman, I'm a father. Do you have children? How can you possibly allow this to happen under your watch? Do you not care? Is it because these children...
Hello, Garcia, learn your history. Manzanar occurred under World War II. Hello, it was a world war.
Democrat and a Democrat.
Yes, who did that?
Don't look like children that are around you. I don't get it. Have you ever held a deceased child in your arms?
I have.
First of all, your comments are disgusting.
Yes.
I've served my country.
I've served my country
for 34 years.
I find your comments disgusting as well.
I've served my country for 34 years. And yes, I held a 5-year-old boy in my arms in back of that tractor trailer. I knelt down beside him and said a prayer for him because I knew what his last 30 minutes of his life were like. And I had a 5-year-old son at the time. What I've been trying to do in my 34 years serving my nation is to save lives. So for you to sit there and insult my integrity and my love for my country and for children, that's why this whole thing needs to be fixed. And you're the member of Congress.
We agree on that.
Fix it.
We agree on that, but I disagree. But I also disagree with your characterization of immigrants as prone to criminality.
You're a member of Congress.
Yes, you are.
Fix it.
Fix
it. Just be honest for once, you fuckheads. Just be honest for once. If you don't like the laws, leftists, Democrats, change the laws. The only people that are putting those folks in jeopardy are you. It's not Thomas Homan. It's not the people of ICE. It's not the people of CBP. It's not the USBP doing the job on the border, who are completely outgunned, outmaneuvered, have no infrastructure, and you're not giving them any money in addition
or laws
to expand or reduce the problem and the pressure on the border. It's all on you. Every death is on you, U.S. Congress, and specifically the Democrats. Like I say, if you don't like those laws, change
them.
The laws. But you won't do that because you can't do that because you don't have the political will, the political pressure, or the political prevailing prairie winds behind you supporting that movement. You cannot change those laws, so the only thing that you have left is to point fingers and everybody's a racist, and I am so fucking tired of that. I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
Leftists have taken words to the point where they literally have no meaning anymore.
I'm surprised that I'm shocked that Mr. Homan didn't stand up and just say "fuck you" and walk out.
You don't have the luxury of looking at the video, and I don't know, folks.
I've seen the video. I've seen the video. He's beat red.
He's
visceral. Livid.
Yes.
Could you imagine? If I couldn't, I try to put myself in that position. I would be hard pressed not to stand up and just say "fuck you" and walk out. I mean, he was basically called a racist. Oh. He was personally blamed for the death of children. He was that member of Congress. Look, there's a California criminal statute that talks about words likely to provoke a violent reaction, and it seems to me that member of Congress, and granted we're not in California and he's a member of Congress and they're fucking immune when they're doing their job, right? But he was using words that would likely provoke a violent reaction from anybody. You call anybody a racist and tell them that it's their fault that kids are dying.
And it's different when you want to talk policy. It's like Obama. Okay, I didn't care for Obama at all. He did a couple of okay things during his presidency. I couldn't give a whistling fuck what color he was. Didn't care less about his paint job. I didn't like his policies.
Right.
But I didn't go out of his way and call him bad names, the N-word, blah, 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 blah. When Garcia sits here and impugns the personal integrity of that guy, saying that essentially this guy, because he's a racist, wants dead children on the border.
Yeah, because the children don't look like other kids that surround him.
Are you
fucking kidding
me? 34 years in law enforcement, that guy has made, in 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, he's made more of an impression, a positive impression on anyone around him than this guy, Garcia, will in his entire career.
Yeah.
How you stand in front of toads like this Garcia character and try to, when accused of these things, and try to remain civil?
No, absolutely not. Would you go before Congress calls you in to testify? Would you go?
Maybe. But it would have my response, because I'm old and I don't have anything to lose. You can't hold anything over my head anymore. My response would be predicated upon what you do, not what I do. I will not be the
antagonist,
the antagonist or the instigator of bad stuff. I will only be the respondent. I will respond to how you brace me.
So if you refuse to testify in front of Congress because of how they treat right-leaning people in these left-wing committees, are you exercising your First Amendment right to protest and your Fifth Amendment right to remain silent?
Well, sure.
I mean, Congress could call you to testify all you want, but if you just sat there and stared at them, And I said, I'm asking you a question. You say, I'm choosing not to speak.
Yeah. Well,
I'm here. I'm subpoenaed. I'm here, but I'm not. I'm choosing not to answer questions.
A decision not to make a decision is still a decision.
Correct.
And we haven't.
I wouldn't give them a fucking thing.
We haven't touched a fraction of the stuff we wanted to talk about tonight.
We touched a fraction.
Okay.
1/1000th is a fraction.
It is. I'm in shape. Round is a shape.
A round is a shape.
Are you here next week?
I am here next week.
Okay. If you're here,
then you'll be here.
I'll be here.
Absent extenuating circumstances,
Right.
I'll be here.
Hey, folks, let me ask you, if I'm here,
and if I'm here,
and Clint is here,
yeah,
will you be here?
It's a good question, BZ.
I think it is. I think it's a wonderful question. So
we'll find out next week.
Yeah, we'll be here. Clint will be here. BZ will be here. All we're asking is
join us.
Very simple. Yes, be here yourself. Yeah. Next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. SHRmedia.com. Great show. Thanks.
Great show.
Okay. Be here next week.
God bless America.
Aloha.